Hello my friends, I'm back to cover more long-forgotten hidden gem VR games. But including some recent titles that I think deserve more exposure. And to kick things off, I want to feature an incredible roguelite. Now the roguelite genre is getting pretty saturated in VR these days, but I want to showcase Ancient Dungeon for being a breath of fresh air that I think really stands out from the crowd. I first featured this when it was a free alpha back in 2019, but I'm pleased to announce that it's now had its official early access release on Steam. In Ancient Dungeon, you explore procedurally generated dungeons filled with a variety of enemies, booby traps, boss battles, secret areas to discover, and much more. Go as long as you can until you eventually perish. But with each playthrough, you'll unlock insights, which you can spend to earn permanent new benefits for the rest of your playthroughs. There's more incentives to keep going with item collectibles, and historical documents to fill in the lore of the dungeon. You'll discover all kinds of upgrades in the dungeons, but discovering new weapon upgrades I found to be especially fun. This game is an interesting juxtaposition between simple Minecraft graphics combined with a highly interactable world. Almost everything is destructible, and all of the weapon collisions with the environments feel satisfying. There's also modding support, so I'm excited to see what kinds of things will be created in the future. The bottom line is that I found this incredibly addictive, and I had a hard time putting it down. Whenever I died, which was pretty often, I found myself always wanting to play just one more time. For movement, you can choose between sliding and teleporting. The price is $20. And speaking of roguelites, I would be remiss to not mention Compound. It's an oldie but a goodie. Now it's not as deep as Ancient Dungeon, but I've really enjoyed returning to this every now and again. Ascend the tower of an evil corporation while blasting through procedurally generated levels. After each level is clear, get in the elevator to proceed to the next level. It pays homage to the classic first-person shooters of yesteryear with its retro pixelated visual style. I'm really a sucker for well-designed old-school graphics. And if you are too, then I recommend getting the free demo to sample it for yourself. Just like the previous game, there's both sliding and teleporting movement. The full game is $20. Starfighter Arduxim is a nice little budget title that is more than meets the eye. This game is just $4, and it provides a lot of bang for your buck.
This is Kibina, a gas giant and the only important planet in the Juniper system. There are a few gas mining operations in the upper levels of the atmosphere.
It's a space combat game with a voice-driven story campaign plus multiplayer. And VR isn't required, so you can play in VR while your friends play in flat screen. The combat is straightforward and arcadey, which I really enjoy. I'm really not much into deep space sims. The game controls best with a joystick or HOTAS, but you can also make do with a gamepad or even motion controllers. This is a real hidden gem that provides plenty of casual combat, and it's all coated with a layer of indie developer charm. Well worth the $4 in my opinion.
Slingshot, as you've just got here, your first mission will be a patrol of the Juniper system itself. You'll fly a loop covering the major areas. Wing Commander Targid will show you the highlights. That's all, pilots. Now get out there.
In Arcade, you get to live the dream of being sucked into an old arcade machine for some fast-paced shooting action. Move forward via either sliding or teleporting, while following your companion cube by the name of ARK. You and Ark share the same health, so whenever you see enemies hurting Ark, you need to quickly dispatch them because they're hurting you too. You'll find cool power-ups like bullet time or special guns that last for a limited time. To reload your standard weapon, just point it down and up again, just like an old-school arcade shooter. I really like the destructible environments in here. Seeing blocky voxel explosions is really fun. For a straightforward and visually gorgeous shooter, I find it to be a nice hidden gem. The price is $20, and there's a free demo available.
Welcome back! I've had the archive send up some virtual labor access points for you to practice with.
In virtual reality, artificial intelligence is reigning supreme, and humans are supposed to entertain and serve the AI overlords.
Between you and me, this one is my favorite. I'd jump in and take this client myself, if that wasn't unseemly.
At the beginning, you'll be guided on how to transport between VR worlds to help serve different AI personalities. But it essentially boils down to putting on and taking off different headsets. Later in the game, you'll go many layers deep, and when you're pulled out of several layers at once, it's a pretty cool experience.
Whoa, okay. That was not part of our standard training protocol.
As you progress into the story, you'll go through some trippy and reality-altering experiences. I don't want to spoil them, but rest assured, this game gets pretty deep. It's much more than just a series of minigames. I first reviewed this game when it came out over 3 years ago. Man, this channel is getting old. But when I replayed it again for this video, I was blown away at how well this game still holds up even today. The truly unique experiences and storytelling in here are still impactful. This has become a timeless classic. But one major downside is that I couldn't get some of the controls to work properly for the Reverb G2. I tried everything I could think of to change the control bindings, but they just won't work with those controllers. I think this game needs a custom patch to make those work, so unfortunately, G2 owners can't play it right now. The price is $15.
In this scenario, I would please play the role I hired you for. Anyways, part of Leslie, a young female who has invited her schoolmate, that's you, home for a family dinner.
We're home! Dad's making a casserole tonight. Let's go upstairs to play some computer sports.
And now to shift gears for a very different kind of game. Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice is a narrative journey through the eyes of a warrior in her struggle with mental illness. As you probably know, I'm no good with horror games, but when this came out over 3 years ago, it appeared to be more elegant and psychological rather than a bunch of cheap jump scares. So I decided to give it a shot. And I was delighted to discover that this is masterful cinematic storytelling. Granted, it is very unsettling, but it's also visually stunning. I felt empathy for the main character in a way that I rarely feel. This game in VR is something really special. It also features a unique third-person perspective for a VR game. Instead of actually being her, you are observing like a floating camera. So it doesn't use motion controllers. You'll need a gamepad or keyboard and mouse. It is a spooky experience, and the minimum specs to run the game are high, but there's just nothing else like it. Hellblade is both nightmarish and beautiful. Its portrayal of mental illness is both brutal and honest. I highly recommend it. The price is $30.
This is a professional workplace.
The first Budget Cuts game made major waves in the VR world. Budget Cuts 2 was released 2 years ago, and I'm astonished that the sequel didn't make nearly as big of a splash as the original did, especially because it took everything about the original and made it all even better. There's still the iconic portal teleportation, where you get a preview of possible danger before you teleport, and the combat includes the classic blade throwing to destroy bots. But to that they've added archery, which is perfect for taking out bots at long range. In close range, it's better to throw blades and scissors like before. There's also more variety in bots, and they're more deadly, whether it be armored bots with explosives, flying drones, or the original guards with guns. You'll find that the enemies are a worthy foe for your new weaponry. The level design is also more expansive. The first game had you indoors in a single building the whole time. This game takes you on train rides, exterior cityscapes, and more. Stealth really is the name of the game here. Your blades and projectiles are scarce in supply, and it's a one-hit kill for you, so if you rush things, you'll die fast. There is the occasional puzzle, but the vast majority of the game is stealth survival and progressing in the mission. Both budget cuts 1 and 2 frequently go on sale, so add these both to your wishlist because they're best played back to back, and especially part 2 is not to be missed. Codename Phantom is a gallery shooting challenge that requires quick thinking and reflexes.
All hostiles neutralized. Mission is a success.
The game consists of a series of mini missions. Eliminate all of the enemies, and if there's a hostage, make sure they stay alive.
They shot the hostage.
I think you'll get the best sense of the gameplay by watching one of the early missions in its entirety.
Eliminate the enemy threat, Agent. All enemies eliminated. Area secured. Great job, Agent.
The later levels do get very challenging, with many more enemies to keep track of, especially when trying to defend a hostage.
The enemy presence has not been dealt with.
You have an ability that lets you see through walls, so that way you can spot enemies or explosives that you can shoot. But know that you can't change your location. You're stuck in one place with the mission happening around you. After about 30 minutes of gameplay, I beat all of the levels in normal mode, which will then unlock hardcore mode. In hardcore mode, you lose your laser sight and it's a one-hit death for you. It's a nice quick reflex minigame challenge. The price is $5.
What was that?
All hostiles neutralized. Mission is a success.
Kaisuo is a gorgeous-looking puzzle box game, and unfortunately, I have to admit this game really got the best of me early on, and I got stuck much earlier than I care to admit to. But until then, I was having a good time. I highly recommend you try this. It's beautiful. And best of all, it's a free download. Rattletrap is another free download. It's a casual game that utilizes your room scale in very creative ways. Your job is to defend your clunky old ship from swarms of evil bots that are trying to destroy it. Open fire on every bot you can find, and also keep an eye out for things coming undone in your ship and try to repair it during the chaos. If you have a play area of at least 2.5 by 2.5 meters, then you can simply walk through the entire ship. And while walking, you can utilize 2 elevator systems to travel through the ship. I really enjoy whenever you can travel an entire game by just walking, and this is a fresh new take on room scale movement. Fortunately, if you don't have that much play space, you can turn on options for locomotion, so anybody can play this. It's a fantastic casual game. Well, that's it for now. Thanks so much for watching. If you like what you see, please subscribe. See ya!